Hello and welcome to the Naked Truth Movement. I'm your host, Joy Cheng, and I am so excited to introduce our guest today. Our guest today is Lisa LaJoie. Lisa LaJoie is an intuitive for business owners, a clairvoyant coach, speaker, intuitive intelligence expert, and owner of the empowerment company Tapping Into It, Inc. She was born with the gift of receiving intuitive messages as a natural-born clairvoyant. Today, she uses this gift to tune in and help people navigate life-changing experiences, reach new business successes, find their passion, skyrocket their abundance with the law of attraction, and connect to their higher calling. Lisa creates and offers groundbreaking courses and workshops and hosts international enlightenment retreats that are geared towards elevating all levels of consciousness, creating dreams, business, and spiritual practice. LaJoie is the creator and host of From Misfit to Mystic, an inspirational radio podcast showcasing evolutionary conscious leaders from all over the world who have taken themselves from feeling unworthy and out of place to confidently creating the life of their dreams. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into your story a little bit, and we can just start with, a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Sure, let's do that. So I'll start just the simple way. I was born like this, and I kind of didn't know what to do with this gift. I didn't understand it, like many people like myself, and a lot of us, even as children, we lose our intuitive gifts. We're connected, and then we're disconnected during different points of our life experience. And I had a spiritual awakening at the age 23, coming from a place of a deep destructive internal world, because I came from a lot of different experiences as a young person. And in that spiritual awakening, I realized that this gift that I had was really important and valuable, and that I can turn it into something valuable for other people. And so it started there, the process of my journey of becoming who I am today in regards to the work I do in the world and how I ended up here. It's just like, it's a beautiful thing to be able to help people understand how intuition works, and also be able to use mine to help them hear their own, and to help them with messages and learning about who they are and where they need to go in their life, in their journey, in their connection, and their divine purpose, and just their personal environment, how they live, and just being able to access that gift and being able to make it useful has been my life's purpose so far. And I'm really excited about the work that I'm doing now. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think, I love what you said about helping other people to tap into their intuition, because I think that sometimes we may not realize, like we might think that, well, I have to go to a psychic, right, to get these, like, this information about my life, right? And rather than understanding that, I believe, and it sounds like you do as well, that, we are all psychic, right? We all have psychic abilities. I do believe that. And I know that, that it doesn't look the same way for everybody, right? Some people are clairvoyant. They're more clairvoyant. They see things, or they're clairaudient. They hear things. I'm more clairsentient, so I feel energy. That's my primary thing that, of how I experience it. But I have seen something like once. I've never heard anything. But, you can develop these things too, right? So even if you have your main way that you naturally, experience your energy, that you can also cultivate those. And so I love that you help people to tap into their own intuition, to recognize that they don't have to find those answers outside of themselves, right? That it's actually within you, and that you can go to someone to help you to do that. But if you just go to someone, it's almost like you're giving your power away by trusting that they have some kind of special ability that you don't already have it within yourself,
Yeah, there's two types of people in general. There's those that want to seek themselves and really get to know their own guidance system and understand how it works. And then there's the people who really aren't interested in doing that. And, often those are my people, or the people that are in tune, but they just want, they're learning, or they're growing, or they're developing their own skills to really tune in. And, with big questions, important things in their life, they want a second opinion, they want to make sure. And so sometimes people will come for that. They'll come to see me to help them understand. And a lot of the time, what I'm doing is tuning in, and they actually can tune in when I'm tuning in, because sometimes I validate what they already feel, sense, and know. And that really is supportive also. But it's super important for all people to use their intuition to the best of their ability, because it's really important. It's a navigational system within each and every one of us,
Right.
So it's very important for all people to learn how to use it in the most powerful way in our lives, you know? It's like using
Mhm.
your mind and directing your mind, or making a plan, or having a strategy, or using our abilities to communicate is just it should be part of the team. It should be part of our life team that we walk through this journey in, you know? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, in my experience, usually we do know the answers. We just sometimes we want that validation from outside of us, right?
Totally.
Um, and a lot of times too, I think that we don't want to do the thing that we know we need to do because it's not easy, right? It's like
Yeah,
we want to pretend we don't hear the answer. It's like, no, that's not actually what I need to do. Let me go do
that's
this other
true.
thing.
Yeah,
Until you realize eventually that it just sometimes then the universe might make you like come to that place of like,
yeah.
okay, surrender. We're like, okay, I'm going to surrender now. But we don't always have to wait till we get to that place, right? We can actually
100%.
decide to
So,
not get to that place and just do the thing that we know
oh,
we need to do, as
absolutely.
scary as it is, as hard as it is, right?
No, that's absolutely true. You know what I mean? I mean, that's part of why I do this work. To be honest with you, like, I want people to have an accelerational experience. I don't want them to be going through the same things over and over. So part of my work is, doing actual soul-based readings, but I also do progressive business intuitive sessions where I help people see the future that they cannot tap into because they don't know how to do that. I mean, there's just layers of, everyone has gifts and everyone has layers of gifts.
Mhm.
So, I built a process and a way of working with people's businesses and their personal lives that when you're learning, it's hard to know how to navigate all that information and figure out how to get to those, directive results that can become actionable experiences. So,
Mhm.
okay, this is going to happen if I turn left. Wow, this can happen. Or if I trust this process and listen to my guidance, oh, my guidance system is telling me there's 5 options, not just one. So oftentimes it's hard for people to learn the navigational experience and the transformative experience. And that's where I come in and often can really help people get to understand the butt of the information and help them see the choices versus trying to figure out the choices. But
Right.
it's such a powerful, powerful experience to be soul-based connected and intuitively activated. It's just really something special. You
Mhm.
get to feel all of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is powerful. So
hmm
tell me, what would you say has been your greatest challenge in your life, and what was the lesson in that?
it's a great question, and I mean, I know right away the greatest challenge in my life was growing up in a very abusive environment, a violent and sexual abusive environment, and overcoming that, and the destruction that happened to me on the inside because of it, really, because that shaped my future in a very negative way. It shaped my self-esteem. It shaped I became very destructive in myself because I learned to think that something was wrong with me instead of understanding who I really am. And I think that's, for me, that's the greatest pain I've had in my life, is to be taught that something was broken instead of I was perfectly designed for a great purpose and a beautiful life experience. Just being with myself was okay. Overcoming that obstacle has taken a long time, great spiritual awakenings over my lifetime, amazing, like, life altering experiences spiritually that have helped me understand who I am deeply and completely versus who I was taught, or what people say, or what people think about, especially my gifts. There's a lot of judgment around them. So for me, overcoming the adversity of my own destruction and my own darkness has been, the best thing that's ever happened in my life, really, being able to have the courage to accomplish that feat, and the ongoing process and freedom that comes with it, being able to
Mhm.
say, yeah, this was true for me at one time and it's not true for me anymore. you know
Mhm.
I thought I was this, I thought I was a bad person, I thought something was wrong with me, and it's absolutely not true. And sharing
Right.
that message with others as well has been, like, for me, it's the greatest thing since the sliced bread. It's just really special.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's almost like you probably, I know for me, I used to feel like, I mean, we all have, I think, some level of that feeling maybe of there's something wrong with me, but I know
Mhm.
that, that I had that in my life as well. And I wasn't, abused, physically, emotionally, sexually by my parents or growing up as a kid, but I still had that feeling, and, from other experiences. And then just, having this longing for my mom's like love of her, like the expression of it. I knew she loved me, obviously your parents love you, but like from that head
Mhm.
place, but not from that heart place, right? Because she
Yeah.
wasn't affectionate. Like she didn't really give us a lot of hugs and kisses. She didn't tell us she loved us,
Mhm.
just from her own upbringing, I think, and culturally, that wasn't something that she experienced. But so having that longing for that, I know that that was a big part of, I think, my journey of where I am today, and seeking, the personal development that I've been through, and all the things that I've, found along the way, the gifts. And so sounds like for you as well that maybe having not gone through those experiences that you did, those painful experiences with the abuse, that you may not have rediscovered your gifts, and been on this journey, because, if you had grown up in a very happy, loving, family, childhood environment, you may not have had a need for that, right?
Yeah,
So.
it's very true. I mean, the truth is that, in my story and what I share with people is my soul saved me pretty much. My own intuitive guidance saved me, because what I felt about myself and the insights that I had that made me willing to make a change and believe in transformation, they did not come from how I felt about myself at those times. They came from a much deeper layer of myself. It's almost like, it's like the universe and my soul were like just waiting to get in there to say, what about this instead? Give me ideas about freedom and possibility in these moments where there was just a slight gap that was open enough for me to think that maybe I could make a change, that maybe I could be a different person, and something else, something good could happen to me, that I could live a dream out. And so, this is part of the work is, our spiritual self is absolutely trying to pull us into the alignment of, our truest nature, of
Mhm.
to love, to purpose, to who we can be, not who we are taught to be by other people's perception. And so to me, it's the gift of doing this for my life is just because of how the experience influenced me. That intuition that I had saved my life. It was my
Right.
way of hearing this higher calling. So it's so important for people to know that they can do that too. And
Mhm.
that's the key for everybody. If you can hear your own soul through your intuitive guidance, because that's how it communicates, then you're going to be okay. Because now
Right.
you're working with all of you, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
okay. You're going to find your way. You're going to know what to do, you know?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not an easy path though, right? It's scary.
It is. It is.
Very scary to follow our intuition when it's decent. And yeah.
Totally. And
So
like you
what have you
said
found
before,
to be like,
go
say, oh,
ahead.
sorry, say that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's like you said before, it's not always easy to actually go into self-reflection and own our responsibility when we know the truth. But the great thing is, this is to me, the greatest truth I could ever tell anybody is, and I do this in my sessions even. I'll tell people, like, when they say, yeah, that feels right. I said, wouldn't it be just nice if you already know, and you walk through your life like that? Like something deep down inside already knows when you're doing the wrong thing. Something deep down inside knows when you're off the path. Something deep down inside you knows when you need to turn left or turn right. And if we just listen, how much easier our life would be. And, if we could just stop running from what we already know, oh, it would be like so much easier than all the resistance and the, having to overcome. And, there's such an easier flow for all of us,
Mhm.
all of us. So I was just thinking of that. Mhm.
Yeah, and I know for me that's in my life that's been true where and there's times when I've really just followed my intuition that things do flow, right? Like me moving to San Diego was a completely like intuition, following my intuition.
Wow.
And one of the ways that I know when that is the case, besides just the feeling in my body, is that it doesn't make sense, right? Usually when it doesn't make sense, your logical mind, you're like, this is clearly a sign that I'm being called, like my soul is telling me to do this, right? That it's not my mind that's telling me to do this, because it doesn't make sense, right? A
Mhm.
lot of times
Yeah.
what your intuition tells you isn't going to make sense to the logical mind. And I think that's where it can be hard, because your mind is like, but it starts coming up with all the what ifs, the fears, right? All the horrible things that could happen if you do this thing, right?
Yeah.
But then you just have to like check in with yourself. And I know for me, it was like the constant checking in, and feeling the sense of peace amidst all of this fear that was going on, at the time, and leaving this relationship that had been the best relationship I had been in my life. You know, my
Wow.
family, my friends, everything I knew in Chicago, and moving to follow my dream to live in San Diego was really scary. And to do that without knowing barely anybody in San Diego, but to just know, and it didn't make sense because I had gone to San Diego recently and I had been disappointed and thought I was going to be even more excited to move. And I was like, you know, I think I'm just going to stay in Chicago. But as soon as I came back to Chicago, it's like I couldn't wait to get back to San Diego. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it makes absolutely no sense. And so, but something was telling me like, this is where you're supposed to be. And so I had to just trust it, right? And for
Oh,
me,
yeah.
I think coming back to that place, constantly checking in and going, no, this feels like there's something within me that feels a peace around this, even though you know, my mind can go in a million directions and go crazy about all the different things that could happen. And, but to just keep going back, no, like this is the path that I'm meant to be on. Right. And to just take
Mhm.
one step forward every day, every moment to eventually get there. Yeah.
So good. It's so good. I love how you said that too, because oftentimes that's the trial and error of the whole experience when you're trying to figure out your own, you know, in your own way. Yeah, it's really different. Like it's different to try to understand the experiences, you know. So that's cool. I'm so happy you
Mhm.
listen to your own messages and the discomfort. You turn the discomfort into a message, right? Well, I think this is what
Right.
we really need to do. You know, listening to it from this objective, beautiful, open place allows you to just know what's next. So that's awesome. That's a really great way to put, you know, how to work with what is coming up into our lives, you know.
Right. Yeah. I think it usually doesn't make sense. So if you're going, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to do this? Like I got called to go to Bali and travel for 3 months. That didn't make any sense either. But I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to go get on a plane and I'm going to go to a country that I've never been to. And I don't even know where it is. And I had to like look on a map, like, where is this place? And like, you know, and then show up and have no plan, and then just, you know, life figures
Awesome.
itself out, right? When we, like you said, it's so much easier when we don't resist, right? That's when we actually suffer,
Mm.
is when we're in the resistance of
So
what our
much.
soul is really guiding us to do, because our soul really wants what's best for us. You know, it doesn't mean it's going to always be easy, and you know, but it really does have our highest interest, right, at
For
heart.
sure, 100%. And the thing is, you know, one of the greatest teachings I tell people and my students and people who want to work on themselves is you're supposed to do something for your soul too. And when you start building that relationship and you realize like it goes back and forth, like there's things for you to do and there's things that your soul is trying to support you in doing as a human being. And there's different times for both of you. And sometimes there's an alignment with both, and you have a path together that you must follow. And sometimes our souls are just like, listen, just be human, have a good time. We'll do that later. Let me just go have fun and play. There's an enormous amount of possibilities and opportunities of soul play in our lives, you know, and understanding what we need to do, how we could and can expand from this bigger version of ourselves called our souls. And being in that relationship can be life altering completely, but also can feel so whole. We can make us feel so whole inside and so
Mhm.
full inside that the flow becomes so much easier. Because
Mhm.
sometimes you're going to feel like I need to do something for this higher part of myself, and other times you're going to feel like I have to do this. It doesn't make sense, and why do I have to do this? And then you find out later that was the best thing that ever happened. It's like a soul surprise. Wow, like how cool! Thank you for
Mhm.
bringing me here. You know, so it's beautiful. I mean, this is the dance of our spiritual life. It's just gorgeous, and it's a
Mhm.
pleasure, right? It's really fun, and it's a great pleasure to know, for me to know that there's this part of me that belongs to a greater, you know, the greater and the greater good of the world, the universe, the higher space in the stratosphere, the cosmos, this beautiful love that's out there, just that generated our galaxy. And oh my god, it's like, and then to think we belong to the world and we belong to earth, and our bodies are built in this absolutely magnificent way. We don't have to think about it, we're just alive, and all the different moving parts of being human, and these two parts of us are together in one little body. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just such an,
Mhm.
it's so exciting, and it's such an honor to be in that experience, you know? Yeah,
Right.
really.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's that was a huge part of my journey of my
Yeah.
spirituality that really helped me to love myself, right, and to heal from years of depression and suicidal thoughts, was really the understanding that we are our bodies, but we're so much more, right? That we are just fields of energy, that, you know, and to recognize that, it is amazing. And like you said, we take our bodies for granted so many times, we don't even
Mhm.
think about the fact that so much is happening. Like we don't even have to do anything, right? That we can
Yeah.
not even focus on our breath, and all these things in our body are happening. Although there is very obviously a lot of power when we do consciously focus on the breath, but to know that there is so much that is happening when we're not even trying to do anything.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I love listening to what you're saying about how you've overcome these really deep and devastating experiences through your own spiritual understanding of yourself. That's beautiful. It was just beautiful, and congratulations on that. Honestly, it's very, very
No.
sacred and special. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I've gone through it
Yeah.
too, but it's so nice to know that, to know you've gone through and you understand, it's great.
Yeah.
Great
And
conversation.
I think that it really is like this realization that I think we all, we all have to go through some experiences sometimes that help us then to, like, whatever it is that our purpose is. I feel like sometimes it comes in the form of like having not experienced it to then experience it, if that makes sense, right? So I know that a big part of what I'm here to do and teach and embody is self-love, right? And I had to be in a situation where I wasn't loving myself, right? Be in an abusive relationship, like have this experience of what it was like not to love myself, to then know what it's like to love myself, and
Yes.
to then be able to relate more to my clients and understand, what it's like, and the same with you, right? To have gone through your experience, because then you wouldn't have the same amount of compassion and empathy, right, for your
Yeah.
clients that you do have now, right? So
Yeah.
whatever it is, to know that you may have to go through the opposite of that to then find that purpose for yourself, and to know that everything happens, it sounds cliche, but everything does happen for a reason, right? And that it is really to serve us, right? That if we can choose to see it that way, because it is a choice, we don't have to choose to see it that way, but if we decide that we want to see it as a good thing, and then you can find the gold in every experience that you go through.
Totally. One of the things, I think I say it more like I find a reason in everything, and a season in everything. I look for it. What is that? What is the purpose in the experiences that we have? It's like, and there always is, always, always, always
Right.
is. Always. Yeah. Always,
Yeah, and
always something to expand on,
and you just have to look for it, right?
Totally. Totally.
What,
Yeah. It's a
what
state
would
of
you
mind. Hmm.
Yeah, what would you say is your greatest current challenge, and what is the lesson or the blessing in that?
Let's see. Well, there's a few of them. That's why I'm like, let's see which one we'll pick. I think my greatest challenge in the moment um, is about putting myself fully in the embodiment of getting out there. You know what I mean? And just really spreading the word about the work that I do unapologetically and comfortably. Because for me, I mean, I'm a clairvoyant coach. This is what I do. I am a business intuitive. I'm a psychic medium. I'm all these things. And, there's been so much for me, the battle of true exposure. Like, a lot of my business has been word of mouth. You know what I mean? And I've like, I'm busy, I don't even have to do anything, but when you want to share more and you want to touch more people and you want to experience and give people that experience, of understanding there's more from the baseline knowledge that we have as people. For me, the vulnerability in sharing who I am is something that I'm overcoming now, and really starting to anchor into myself and spreading the word more deeply and feeling comfortable in doing it. So that's probably my challenge right now. I'm doing pretty good getting through it though. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And what's been the lesson or the blessing in that?
The blessing is that I found that like, I'm not really apologetic about who I am. I was taught to be. I was taught that there's something wrong. So the blessing is the extra healing that I'm getting from pushing myself to spread the word is allowing me to stop hiding, because I was taught to hide. I was taught that I wasn't okay. I was taught that this gift that I had, yeah, you could talk about it over here, but don't talk about it out too loud. Don't be too loud. So the gift is just being able to heal more of a bad time in my life and some of the anchors that were anchored in there, and just like unhook them and see ya. Bye-bye.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's always been there. So it's not a matter of having to be unapologetic, that you already were and are, right? And to just
Yes,
take off anything that taught you not to be that.
definitely. It's just like unhooking the rest of the hooks, let's say. Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's like, and that's not, I don't call that a big challenge. I find it exciting and exhilarating to grow, and if that's all I have going on right now that's challenging, I'm doing really good.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely. If that's your biggest, yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm doing really good. So
a gift. Yeah. What would you say is your naked truth? And that's something that either you've never shared with anybody before or something that makes you feel vulnerable or naked when you share it.
That's like, I don't have, so, like I thought about this before too. And I'm like, well, I think like, okay, so I don't have a lot of things that make me feel very, very vulnerable. But what does make me feel vulnerable is what we're doing to our planet. It makes me feel vulnerable in a very, very weird way. Like I'm terrified for what we're losing. And like even talking about it makes me extremely emotional. And it's very personal and deep to me to look at what we're doing and think to myself that in my lifetime I may not be able to see an animal. I may not be able to, you know, walk in a forest, or like for me this is one of the deepest and most profound powerless feelings that I have, because I don't want to be in politics. I don't want to do things to necessarily fight for those changes, even though I'm fighting for those changes anyway. I'm trying to make a difference energetically in the things that I do and the stuff that I support. But that touches me deeply, and most people don't know about it because I try not to talk about it because it makes me just so upset. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's something that's really hurting my heart at this time. Yeah.
Mm. Well,
Hmm.
thank you for being willing to go there with us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think I feel you, and I think it is an important thing for us to all to really be aware of, and to stay conscious of, um, and to do our best,
Yeah,
to
I mean,
support
I almost
the
ignore it. Hmm.
yeah, to support our earth, and I try to do my piece in like, making sure that I'm, recycling and just like the things that I can to do, and just reusing, like, your water bottles, like not
Right.
having plastic bottle, all the things that we can do, because there
For
is so many
sure.
things that we can do, that people we
Hmm.
may not even think about, but like just little things that do make a difference.
No, I'm with you. I really am, for sure. I really am. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So how can listeners find out more about you?
They can go to my website, tappingintoit.com.
Okay.
That's a great way. That's a great way to find out more about me. I'm up to a lot of cool stuff, and yeah, the
Okay.
website's the best place to go. Hmm.
Awesome, and that's in our show notes. And then do you have a free gift for our listeners?
I do. I have a channel filled with meditations and inspirational talks, which is great. People love the downloads that I have on my SoundCloud channel. It's all free. There's a lot of freebies that are really valuable there. It's a SoundCloud, and the title is Tapping Into It, and that's the name of the channel. And there's a bunch of free downloads over there, which is great. Great for
Okay,
me. Hmm.
awesome. And the last question is, what is one thing that our listeners can do today that's going to make a difference in their life?
They can take some time and sit with their own soul and literally start to have a conversation with it, and just sit, be quiet for like 5-10 minutes, and just start having a conversation like you would be talking to your friend, and just say, okay, Lisa said there's a soul that lives inside me, and I don't know exactly where you are, but I'm going to start talking to you and try to get a connection going. And I'm going to change my mind and start to open my mind and say, I'm walking the journey with this soul that loves me, with my greatest partnership of all, because we're walking the path together, and activate that opening and start to just realize that there's so much more to themselves. Hmm.
Wow, I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, a conversation with your soul. That's awesome. So I would love to hear anybody that takes you up on this. Make sure you share in our Facebook group, The Naked Truth Movement, how that
Hmm.
conversation goes for you, what your soul shares with you, any insights that you got. Just share with us. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a really good time.
Yeah, I loved it as well. So thank you again. And this is Joy with the Naked Truth Movement. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.